Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're watching me today. My name is Peter Ads. Welcome back to Invest with Peter Ads. So today, I'm going to be talking about the good, the bad, the ugly of the market at this point, because as we are actually getting closer to the deadline of whether US are going to raise the debt ceiling or not. June the 1st is the deadline date for US to raise the debt ceiling, or they're going to default. And if they default, what's going to happen to everyone? I'm going to be talking about that in this episode. Please, if you're seeing for the first time, subscribe to the channel. And those who have subscribed, thank you very much for your support. So now let's talk about the good. The good is actually the, news that happened last week. I'm going to be talking about, Jerome Powell was with Ben Bernanke on Friday. So it was in DC, talking about this guy and talking about economy with Ben Bernanke. So he was actually explaining to us, to everyone watching it, that the market, as is expected, is not actually, the CPI has come down, right? He agreed the CPI has come down. And, market expectation is in line with what they are looking at. And just like they always say, they are data driven. And he always, ensure that whatever he says on the TV is by the book. That's why you see him looking at his notes, telling us what he has written down. So now, what I believe is going to happen is they're going to be pausing at some point. He actually made mention of it, that there's possibility of rate pause at some point, but they're not ruling out, rate increase if the market trajectory goes the other way. If the economy actually change direction, then they're going to put their foot on the gas and start increasing rate again. But at the moment now, there's no point, emphasizing on increasing the rate at this point. So there's possibility of Feds actually pausing at some point this year, but cutting rate is not out of the talk, but they don't see it happening in 2023. So that might be 2024. But anyway, either ways, they want to play the game. I think they have to stand and talk about pausing rate this next meeting, because they're going to be meeting next month. And I believe what's going to be coming out from those, talk is going to be, they're going to start pausing. I don't expect the Feds to continue raising rate at this point, because they've done enough damage to the inflation. So I expect them to pause and see, the work of what they've done. Let the work you've done do this job, and just look at, well, they just fold our hand and see. And I believe the rate they've increased is actually has done its job, and we're going to see it, but as time goes by, how it's going to reflect in the economy. So that's the good news for this week. So we have pause on the table going towards next month's FOMC meeting. That's the good one. So, well, the bad news is the Republicans actually walk out of the debt ceiling meeting on Friday. Well, the president is not around. He's at Japan, attending to G7 issues and all that. So they actually believe the Republicans want, they want their fair share. So they just want Democrats to understand that we can't just sign this deal like that without negotiation. We want this deal to be negotiated. Then we can increase the debt ceiling, because at the moment now, US, like I said in the last video, US is actually owing $32 trillion at some point. And guess what? US want to increase the debt, so they want to be going towards 40 trillion. I don't know how they're managing to control the economy with that large amount of debt. The debt is actually higher than the economy. So that's crazy if you ask me. But at this point, Republicans are not really happy. Without negotiation, they don't want to go forward with the debt ceiling. And that's why you saw the market went down on Friday, close to the market closed on Friday. So going forward now, I think at some point, maybe 11th hour, they're going to come to their senses and actually agree on a deal. Some Democrats are not happy that that the president, was not around there, because, leaving it with to deal with the whole thing at this point. They're not really happy about it. But the president need to go to G7 meeting, as the US is one of the major, founders of G7. So the president has to be there. And now Democrats and Republicans are not actually agreeing on increasing the rate. And that's what happened to the market. That's why the market wobbled a little bit close on Friday. So, well, I still don't believe United States is going to miss the debt ceiling deadline. Deadline is June the 1st. And if they miss and default, so that means they are not able to pay their debts, and they are not even ready to negotiate increasing the debt. That means market is going to come down. I don't know how many percentage, but NASDAQ is going to come down. S&P ain't going to be left out. Dow Jones and economy will probably be sent back to, to whatever it happened. But most of the economists are actually talking about that this is going to get ironed out as soon as possible, as soon as this week rather, because next week, 1st of June, that'll be it. So I still believe, even if it's dead hour or 11th hour, whatever you want to call it, this debt ceiling agreement is still going to happen, and US will increase the debt ceiling. That's what I believe. I'm not thinking otherwise. That's what I believe, because the consequence of them, missing the deadline is enormous, and I can't just fathom what is going to happen to the economy and the market if that actually happens. So I don't believe that. I'm blanking myself from thinking that United States are going to miss the deadline. So let's talk about, actually, NASDAQ, has gone up last week. We saw market going up because of the news of the rumor that the debt ceiling agreement is going smoothly. But now NASDAQ is actually, 52 weeks high. And because, we know the top 10 companies in NASDAQ are the one pushing this NASDAQ chart to all-time high. The likes of NVIDIA, just imagine NVIDIA. I bought NVIDIA just last year around 123, 128, 129. And NVIDIA now is 300 and something plus. I sold my NVIDIA. I took profit, right, guys? That's one principle when you are investing. Learn how to take profit at the right time. You can't just let your profit sit down there and just get wiped away if the market goes sideways. So whenever you see a chance of taking profit, or you should stop loss at some point, as an intelligent investor, you must understand when you need to walk away. Regardless of your favorite company, favorite stock, you need to take profit as you invest going forward. So NASDAQ is up, Apple is up, Microsoft, AMD, all these tech company are flying high in the sky, and that is actually pushing NASDAQ and S&P to all-time high, to 52 weeks high. Sorry, not all-time high, 52 weeks high. So, I'm taking profit whenever I see my chance. I'm not waiting for anybody. I know when to pick my fight. So I took profit, and I'm happy I take my profit. If I see it draw down again, I'm going to be buying it again. But that's how I invest in it. Talking about that. Well, guys, today let's talk about the ugly part. The ugly part. Well, Ronald Reagan, former United States president, said a nuclear war, right, should not be fought and can never be won. Just last week in G7 meeting, United States actually, approved the F-16, to be given to Ukrainian government. US no longer use F-16. They have actually retired this fighter jet, which was, commissioned 45 years ago. But now we still have countries in Europe, the countries like, Netherlands, Norway, Poland, and some other European countries still use these fighter jets. And now it's been approved. And, because if US did not approve this fighter jet to be given out, they can't be given out. So US government approved this fighter jet to be given to Ukrainian government to fight their war. Now, we actually went from weapon to land to air missile, from there to armor tanks, from armor tanks, now we're going to fighter jets. They're actually pushing this man in Moscow towards the nuclear obese that everyone is dreading at this point. Anyway, before we go there, right, to train a pilot to fly F-16 would take 4 to 5 months. So we're actually looking towards September, October before these fighter jets start appearing at the theater, right? So let's say these people were trained and they start flying the fighter jets. That tells us something. They will be going towards mainland Moscow, right? Mainland Russia, Moscow, and those lines. Guess what? It only takes a little mistake, bombarding a wrong place or sending a wrong signal, and the red button might be pressed at some point. I do not pray that the red button is pressed at some point, because that will be the end of the whole universe. Regardless of where you live in the world, the aftermath, the winter, nuclear winter that will eventually wipe every living soul on the earth is even worse than the blast. I don't want to go into the scientific explanation of nuclear weapon, nuclear war, or nuclear effect, but you can check it on YouTube yourself. The West are pushing this war towards the nuclear war. Moscow, or Kremlin, let me use that word, insist that if they think they can bully them to submission, it's not going to happen. I still believe negotiation will win this war. No war is won at the battlefield. Wars are won on a round table, right? So now Ukrainian pilots are going to be trained to fly fighter jets. By September, October, we're going to see these flying around, and you're going to know about it when it start hitting the news near you. Now, if this happen and all that, market ain't going to be happy with this, because you know why? That's going to scare the market. Now, well, fighter jet is here now. They're flying, trying to, bombard some places in Russia as well to feel the impact of what Russians have done to them in Ukraine. It's not going to go well with the economy, and it's not going to go well with the stock market. The only sector that will probably be doing well during this period are the energy sector and weapon manufacturing companies. I'm not going to mention any. I'm not giving any stock today. I'm just telling you the sectors that are going to do well if we get close to midnight, close to doomsday. So I'm just saying that, government needs to understand what they're trying to do, what they're doing at this point. These wars shouldn't be pushed, further than the way it is at this point. Russians are getting weary. Ukrainians are tired of this war. They should be talking to the countries that actually understand Putin than, inflating or pumping money to influence the war any longer. I'm not a political analyst. I'm just saying, from an investor's perspective, right? This is what actually send market to obese. I'm an investor. I don't want to lose my money. I want to understand what's going on in the political view, in the political arena, because you cannot say you are an investor without looking at what the politicians are talking about or what the politicians are doing, because the effect or impact of the decision they're making affect you, affect the economy, and affect your portfolio as well. So I'm just saying that's the good. I've explained the good, the bad, the ugly in this week. So now let's hope common sense come to play at this point, and Putin is probably spoken to in a way that he understands. We cannot push this war further than the way it is at this point. So, well, that's it, guys. Today, I'm just saying, be very careful what you buy, what you want to buy, what you want to invest. I have started investing in the energy sector at this point, not because of what I'm talking about today, but I see some valuable places that I can not overlook at this point. So I've just started investing in energy sector going forward, because they are too cheap for me to ignore at this point. So if you want to start investing, or if you want to play it safe at this point, you don't overlook the energy sector. I'm not going to specify which company, but just check out the energy sector. Even Warren Buffett is buying some energy companies. If you know what I'm talking about, don't look away when billionaires are investing their money. So thank you very much, guys, for today. I'm going to see you next week. Thank you for watching and subscribing to the channel. My name is Peter Ads. I'll see you on the next one, and bye for now.